Hello friends. So this video is going to talk about the best foods to eat when you're trying to lose body fat to make you feel full and make your fat loss experience easy and enjoyable and a process where you don't suffer. So first of all, it's so important to know that there's not good or bad foods. It's more about the fact that some foods you eat a little more of, some foods you eat a little less of. Keep that in mind. No good bad foods. So there's three processes that happen in your brain that control your eating behavior. So this is understanding how all of this works can make it easier to stay on track because you understand. So there's the hunger circuit, there's the consumption circuit, and the satiety circuit. So we're gonna go over each of these so you can understand why certain foods can make it easier to stick to your diet a little bit easier. So let's dive right into it. So the first one is hunger. Hunger, my favorite, just kidding. So when your body senses that your energy is low, it signals to your brain to start looking for food. So you're like, where's the food? Where's the food? Oh, I want the food. So if you're sitting around and you're bored and you find that you're getting hungry or even just having boredom cravings, it's gonna be a lot more noticeable than it is when you're busy and doing other things. And I've definitely noticed this for myself. I know that it's a lot easier to stick to my nutrition when I'm distracted and busy. I mean, not too busy because then it can make things like, nah. But if you're a nice amount of busy, I know that you have a nice distraction. And whereas when you're sitting around and you're bored, it's the opposite. This is often why people struggle with eating a lot at night, because that's when, or even weekends, because you're not as busy. You're kind of just sitting around. And when you're bored and hungry, that's when you're more likely to just get up, go look for food. And if you haven't pre-planned what you're going to eat, this is when it can easily lead to overeating because you just don't know what you're doing. So you're like what you don't know what you're going to do because you're like, I'm bored, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat this. Whereas if you have a plan, like if you have pre-planned what you're going to eat, you already know. So there's less of a chance that you'll slip up. So of course slip-ups can still happen, but either way, if you're pre-planning things out, it is going to increase your chances of success and staying consistent. So the next thing is the consumption circuit. So food can change your mood and make you feel good because of reward centers in your brain. So the more palatable the food is, so if it's yummy, higher in carbs, fats, sugars, the reward response will be higher. So you do actually get it's literally addictive. So again, like things like cookies and pizza, this is why it's a lot easier to overeat those types of foods than it is to overeat chicken and broccoli. I would be shocked if there's anyone who ever overeats chicken and broccoli. So if you eat less, you crave them less. So yeah, that doesn't mean cut them out altogether, but it's just understand that you do want to put them in moderation, because if you overdo it and you're trying to fit as much as you possibly can into your calories for the day, and you're also neglecting your whole foods with higher fiber, like the micronutrients and proteins, so, veggies, protein sources, all that jazz, that's when there's a higher chance that you're gonna feel hungrier and have more cravings. So that's why, even though it's flexible dieting, you still want to get in all your nutrients. So then the next part is satiety. So obviously, fat loss is going to be easier if you feel satiated and full, which is why you want to focus more on the more nutritionally dense foods, because it activates the satiety circuit in your brain, which is going to make you feel full without eating as many calories. So I've definitely noticed that if I've been overdoing it with sugary foods, I do start to crave it a lot more, and they're way less filling. But then once I tone it down and stick to that for a few days, the cravings get better. So I do find that if I'm hungrier than usual on a given day, what I'll do is try to make myself eat extra veggies before anything else, and it helps because then even if I were to still overeat and eat some sweets, it's at least going to have me feeling a bit full and decrease the severity of my overeating. So this is another reason why pre-planning is so important, because if you're feeling those cravings, you're like, okay, I've pre-planned this food here, so I'm gonna eat it. So it's very, very important because then you just follow the path. Okay, so here's a good example, white bread. White bread. So it's not that it's really bad for you, but it's not going to be as filling because it doesn't have the fiber and all that good stuff. Whereas usually I have this special protein bread. I'm out of it right now, so that's why I'm eating this instead. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to like gain weight or something, but I might not feel as full. So what I'm doing to help with that, we're going to go over here. Veggies. I mean, I eat the veggies anyways, but it's gonna help with what I'm missing from my usual bread. So that's, again, just another example of a more filling type of food. So to summarize, being bored makes hunger more noticeable and can give extra cravings, but if you're pre-planning your food for the day, that can help a lot. And then the other thing to remember is that nutritionally dense foods that are higher in fiber, protein, and micronutrients literally send signals to your brain to make you feel full, which prevent you from overeating. So this is why I often suggest that on treat meal days or like a day you're going out to eat, I always suggest earlier in the day having more protein and veggies, because it's just gonna hold you over and literally tell your brain, we're feeling satisfied, we're feeling good. So then things are more in control. So pretty simple. It just really explains why you want to prioritize nutritionally dense foods and just be careful with your portion sizes of the less nutritionally dense foods. And obviously, the higher calories that you are working with, the more, I don't want to say junk food, but the more like unhealthy type foods you can have, because you have more wiggle room. Whereas someone eating 1,400 calories, in order to get in their fiber, their protein, an adequate amount of veggies, they're not going to have much wiggle room left over for like the treats. So keep that in mind too. If the higher calories you're eating, the more wiggle room you got, which is nice. Obviously, in some cases, you can't do much about it, but it makes a difference. So that is it for today's video. I hope you all have an awesome week, and I will see you in the next one. Woohoo!